Hello, my dear, strange, isn't it? How some nights feel heavier than others. The air feels different, the silence louder, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for you to notice something you've been ignoring for far too long. You can feel it, can't you? That uneasy pull in your chest, that quiet whisper in the back of your mind saying, "Listen, this one matters." Because deep down, you know it's not just another night. There's something about tonight. Something final, something beginning. Maybe it's the way your thoughts won't sit still, or how the same feeling keeps circling back, no matter how much you try to distract yourself. You've been avoiding a truth, hoping time would make it softer, easier to swallow. But time doesn't heal what you refuse to face. It amplifies it. Every ignored sign becomes louder. Every delay becomes a debt. And now, here you are, being pulled toward a message you were never meant to miss. You ever notice how some nights don't feel like the rest? You can't explain it, but something inside you refuses to settle. Your mind won't stop spinning. Your chest feels tight. And no matter how many distractions you throw at it, that hollow feeling stays. That's not insomnia. That's not anxiety. That's awareness knocking on your ribs. Restlessness isn't random. It's the body's way of telling you something is about to shift. It's the storm before the realization, the tremor before the awakening. People call it discomfort, but really, it's truth trying to break through the noise you built to hide from it. You see, most people spend their whole lives running from silence. They drown themselves in noise, scrolling, talking, pretending. Anything to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts. Because silence is dangerous. It strips away illusions. It shows you who you really are, not who you pretend to be. That's why the nights hit harder. There's no audience, no performance, no mask. Just you, the darkness, and everything you've tried not to think about. That's when restlessness creeps in. That's when the truth starts whispering, and no matter how much you resist, you hear it anyway. You know what's funny? People pray for signs, beg for clarity, plead for answers, and then when the signs come, they call it overthinking. When the truth surfaces, they drown it in excuses. They want light, but not if it exposes their shadows. They want peace, but not if it requires change. So they ignore the restlessness, label it as stress, and go back to pretending. But that feeling doesn't go away. It lingers. It grows. Because the truth doesn't disappear when ignored. It waits. Patiently. Until you're tired enough, broken enough, or desperate enough to finally listen. Restlessness is a signal, a divine alarm, a call that something within you is ready to move, ready to shed, ready to evolve. But evolution isn't polite. It doesn't knock gently. It shakes you. It keeps you up at night. It pulls your attention to the things you've buried, the emotions you've muted, the decisions you've delayed. It's not punishment. It's preparation. You can't stay who you were and still become who you're meant to be. And your soul knows that. That's why it refuses to let you rest. There's always that moment when you sit in the dark and realize you're not the same. The things that once excited you don't anymore. The people who used to understand you now feel distant. The places that felt like home suddenly feel too small. That's not sadness. That's expansion. Your spirit is outgrowing your surroundings. But growth doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It starts with restlessness. It begins with the unease that makes you question everything you thought you wanted. Most people call that feeling a curse. They try to silence it with routine, relationships, addictions, anything to numb the ache of becoming. But you can't silence a transformation that's already begun. You can't go back once you've started to wake up. That's why the nights feel heavier lately, why your thoughts feel sharper, why everything ordinary suddenly feels unbearable. It's because your soul is preparing to break its own cage. You see, people think change starts with decision, but it starts with discomfort. The universe doesn't ask politely. It agitates. It unsettles. It takes away the things you used to lean on so that you'll finally stand on your own. And the irony is, you'll think everything's falling apart when really everything's aligning. The restlessness is proof that something inside you refuses to die quietly. There's a reason you can't sleep. A reason your heart races when you think about your life. A reason certain memories sting more than usual. You're not falling apart. You're waking up. Your body knows it, your mind resists it, and your spirit demands it. That friction you feel, that's transformation in motion. And the louder it gets, the closer you are to clarity. You might try to distract yourself, to bury the feeling again. You'll tell yourself it's just a phase, that you'll feel better tomorrow. But deep down, you know that's not true, because this kind of restlessness doesn't fade. It evolves. It keeps pressing, keeps pulsing, until you finally stop running. Until you finally sit still and ask the question you've been avoiding. What is this trying to tell me? That's when everything starts to shift. Maybe the restlessness isn't your enemy. Maybe it's your teacher. The same force that unsettles you is the one that's guiding you. It's showing you what no longer fits, what no longer serves, what no longer deserves your energy. It's stripping away comfort so you can find purpose. You may hate it now, but one day you'll look back and realize it wasn't trying to hurt you. It was trying to wake you. Because sometimes the only way life can get your attention is by keeping you awake long enough to finally see what's been right in front of you all along. You ever notice how people pretend they're fine, even when their world is burning behind their smile? They walk around like everything's under control, like they've got it all figured out, when inside they're hanging by a thread. The truth is, most people aren't living, they're just surviving. Numb, going through the motions, trying to convince themselves they're happy because the alternative is too painful to face. But there's always that moment, that quiet second when the noise fades and reality slips through the cracks. That's when you feel it, the emptiness, the ache, the quiet realization that something isn't right. That's not weakness, that's awareness. That's the soul whispering. There's more than this. But people don't like that voice. It scares them. Because if they listen, they'll have to admit they've been lying to themselves. They'll have to admit they've settled for less peace, less passion, less life. So they silence it. They drown it with distractions, routine, meaningless conversations. They chase comfort instead of truth. And for a while, it works. They feel safe, in control, until life decides to pull the rug out from under them. Until something, or someone, forces them to see the mirror they've been avoiding. That's the moment everything changes. It's funny, isn't it, how the things we think will destroy us are usually the things that wake us up. Heartbreak, failure, rejection, loss. The kind of pain that takes your breath away and makes you question everything. We call it suffering, but really, it's an invitation. An invitation to look deeper, to tear down the illusions and see what's real. Because pain doesn't come to punish, it comes to push. It's life's way of saying, wake up. You've been sleepwalking too long. But the world teaches us to hide pain, to mask it, medicate it, mock it. To pretend we're strong by pretending we don't feel. Yet the strongest people are the ones who allow themselves to break. The ones who don't run from the fire, they walk through it. Because they understand something most never wills, that pain purifies. It burns away everything fake. It shows you what matters. It strips you of everything that isn't real until all that's left is you. Raw, unfiltered, alive. Most people will never reach that point because they're too afraid of falling apart. They cling to the old version of themselves, even when it's killing them. They try to rebuild their life, using the same broken pieces that shattered them. They want transformation without discomfort, healing without truth. But you can't become new without letting the old die. You can't heal if you're still defending the wound. You can't move forward while you're chained to what hurt you. That's why pain keeps returning in cycles. It keeps repeating until you learn the lesson it came to teach. You'll keep attracting the same situations, the same people, the same disappointment, until you finally face it, until you finally say, I'm done pretending this doesn't hurt. Because that's the moment healing begins. Not when everything feels better, but when you stop lying about how much it hurts. People think healing is beautiful. It's not. It's ugly. It's messy. It's nights of questioning your worth, mornings of forcing yourself to breathe. Days where you feel like you're crawling through broken glass. But it's also real. It's the kind of pain that transforms you from the inside out. And one day, without realizing it, you wake up different. Not healed, maybe, but awake, aware, stronger in the places you once broke. The truth is, everyone wants peace, but no one wants the process. They want the light, but not the fire that creates it. They want growth without loss. But that's not how life works. Life destroys before it rebuilds. It empties you so it can fill you with something better. It takes away what you thought you couldn't live, without to show you that you can. It humbles you so you can finally see beyond yourself. That's why pain is not your enemy. It's your initiation. It's the test that separates the dreamers from the doers, the believers from the pretenders. It's how the universe measures your readiness. You say you want change, but do you really? Because change requires sacrifice. It requires losing what's comfortable to gain what's meant for you. You can either run from pain or learn from it. But one thing's for sure, it doesn't leave empty-handed. It either takes your peace or gives you purpose. And that choice, it's always yours. Most people choose the first. They'd rather numb themselves, live small, stay broken quietly. But a few, just a few, choose differently. They let pain do its work. They let it break them open, not down. And those are the ones who rise, not because they were spared from pain, but because they stopped fighting it. You'll never be free until you stop fearing the things that hurt you. You'll never grow if you keep running from the lessons life's trying to teach you. Sometimes, the pain you hate the most is the very thing building the version of you you've been praying for. You just can't see it yet. But someday you'll look back and realize it had to hurt, because that was the only way you were ever going to wake up. You ever wonder why people wait for the last moment to change? Why they only start thinking, feeling, realizing when the walls start closing in? It's almost like they need chaos to wake up, like peace is too quiet for them to notice. They go through life pretending they've got all the time in the world, wasting their days on things that won't even matter tomorrow. They talk about dreams they'll chase one day, people they'll love when the time is right, and risks they'll take when they're ready. But the clock doesn't wait for them. Life doesn't care about their plans. And when the moment comes, when the curtain starts to fall, they finally look around and whisper, "I should have done more." But by then, more isn't an option anymore. It's strange how people fear death, but live like they're already dead. They trade their fire for routine, their courage for comfort, their dreams for a paycheck. They build cages around themselves and call it stability. They follow rules no one remembers making, repeat cycles they swore they'd break, and then wonder why everything feels so meaningless. But deep down, they know. They know they're wasting time. They just don't want to admit it, because admitting it would mean facing the truth, that they've been asleep their entire life. You can see it in their eyes, the dullness, the quiet resignation, the way they talk about the past like it's the best part of them, the way they laugh at the idea of change like it's too late, like the world already decided who they are. But that's the biggest lie there is. Time isn't your enemy, it's your reflection. It gives you chances over and over again to do something different. It's just that most people never take them. They wait for a sign, for permission, for a perfect moment that never comes. They forget that every second that passes is a door closing. Every breath is a chance you'll never get again. Yet they scroll, they gossip, they sleepwalk through their existence, acting like they've got eternity to waste. But one night, they'll lie awake, staring at the ceiling, and it'll hit them. that hollow ache in the chest, that quiet whisper of regret, the realization that time has been slipping through their fingers while they were busy pretending they had control. That's the cruel trick of life. It doesn't announce when the end is near. It just takes. It takes your youth, your energy, your chances, one by one, until all you have left are memories of what you didn't do. People say, "I'll start tomorrow," but tomorrow isn't promised. You can't negotiate with time. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, your plans. It just moves. And every day you wait, every risk you avoid, every dream you bury, it all piles up into a life half-lived. The truth is, people don't fear dying. They fear never having lived. They fear looking back and realizing they never really felt alive, that they were too scared to love deeply, to chase wildly, to fail boldly, that they spent their years trying to fit in when they were born to stand out, that they mistook surviving for living. It's tragic, really, because the only moment that truly exists is now. This breath, this heartbeat. But people waste it waiting for a better time. They don't understand that the right time is the moment they decide it is. And yet, some people do wake up. Usually when they've lost everything. When the things they thought mattered crumble, and all that's left is themselves. That's when they start to see clearly. That's when they realize the power they always had. The power to choose, to change, to start again. It's funny how loss brings clarity, how endings reveal truth. But by then, they're desperate to go back, to rewrite the story. Only life doesn't do rewinds. It only offers lessons. You can't outrun time. You can't beg for more of it. But you can use what you have left. You can stop pretending tomorrow's guaranteed. You can stop waiting for someone to save you and save yourself. You can decide that this breath, this second, is your turning point. Because the real tragedy isn't dying. It's dying with potential still inside you. Every person gets signs, warnings, whispers. That uneasy feeling in your gut when you're not living right. That sudden thought that says, you were meant for more. That's not coincidence. It's a calling. It's the universe nudging you, begging you to wake up before it's too late. But most ignore it until something drastic happens. Until the job disappears, the relationship ends, the health fades. Then suddenly, they want to live. But why wait for loss to start appreciating what's here? Why wait for pain to open your eyes? You can keep waiting for the perfect time, or you can make now perfect. You can keep watching others live boldly while you hide behind fear. Or you can step into the fire and see what you're really made of. Because one day, the clock will stop, and the only question that'll matter is, did you live? Or did you just exist? The world won't remember how safe you played it. It won't remember how many things you avoided. It'll remember your fire, your courage, your madness to chase what others were too afraid to. So if you're hearing this, maybe it's not random. Maybe this is your warning. Or maybe it's your last chance. You know what's funny? People say they want peace, but they wouldn't know what to do with it if they had it. They claim they're searching for happiness, for stillness, for calm. But deep down, they're addicted to the noise. The drama, the constant chaos that keeps them distracted from what's really inside. They scroll through pain like it's entertainment, drown in other people's lives, just to avoid facing their own, because silence is dangerous. It forces you to hear the truth, whispering inside your head, and most people can't handle that. When everything goes quiet, you start to notice things. The weight of your choices, the people who don't really care, the goals you abandoned, the dreams you traded for comfort. And suddenly, that silence becomes deafening. So you fill it with noise, music, screens, voices. Anything to drown out that little voice saying, "You're meant for more than this." It's tragic, but it's also predictable. People are terrified of hearing their own truth because it demands action. And action, that means risk. That means change. And change scares them more than misery. They say they want to be free. But freedom is not as pretty as they imagine. Freedom means taking responsibility for your own life. It means not having someone to blame when things go wrong. It means standing in front of a mirror and admitting that you're the one holding yourself back. No system, no person, no excuse. Just you. That's why so many prefer the chains. They're comfortable, predictable, safe. They complain about the cage, but never leave it because at least in there, they know the rules. Out here, in freedom, there are no guarantees, just choices. People chase comfort like it's the ultimate prize, but comfort is the slowest kind of poison. It lulls you into a soft, sleepy death. It makes you believe you're okay while your fire quietly burns out. Every dream dies a little in comfort. Every ambition fades under the weight of routine. You start making excuses, calling it patience, calling it being realistic. But deep down, you know you're just scared. Scared to fail, scared to be seen, scared to lose control. So you pretend you're content. You build a small life and convince yourself it's enough. But your soul knows better. It's why you feel restless, even when everything looks fine. Why you can't sleep sometimes, even when you're not tired. That's not anxiety. It's your spirit rebelling against mediocrity. It's the part of you that remembers what you were born for, pounding on the walls you built around it. It's trying to wake you up. But most people just pop another pill, scroll a little longer, distract themselves until it quiets down again. They call it coping. I call it surrender. You can almost see it on their faces. The light fading. They used to have that spark, that wild look of possibility, but life crushed it out of them. Not all at once, no. Slowly. A compromise here, a fear there. One small betrayal of their own potential at a time. Until one day, they look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. They don't see a fighter anymore. They see someone who settled. Someone who survived instead of lived. And they tell themselves it's okay because, at least I'm comfortable. But comfort doesn't feed the soul. It kills it. And you can tell when a soul's dying. It starts craving distractions, addictions, validation. It starts grasping for anything that'll make it feel alive again. People don't even chase success because they love it. They chase it because they're trying to fill the void inside them. But nothing external can fix what's broken internally. You can't buy peace. You can't fake purpose. You can't escape yourself forever. At some point, you'll have to sit in that silence you've been avoiding. You'll have to face the things you buried, the truth about why you settled, the regret of who you could have been. And it'll hurt. It'll tear you apart. But that pain, that's the cleansing fire. That's the moment your soul starts breathing again. Because truth, no matter how brutal, is always the beginning of freedom. Most people don't understand that the path to peace is paved with chaos. You have to destroy the false version of yourself before you can find who you really are. You have to lose everything you thought you needed to realize what actually matters. And that's why life keeps shaking people, breaking people, taking things from them. It's not punishment. It's awakening. It's life saying, wake up before it's too late. You see, pain is a teacher. One of the few that never lies. It strips away the illusions, the masks, the fake smiles. It shows you what's real. And that's why you should never run from it. You should sit with it. Let it carve out the parts of you that no longer belong. Because when the pain fades, what remains is something unbreakable, truth. But here's the cruel irony. Most people won't get there. They'll numb themselves until the end. They'll never hear the message behind the suffering. They'll never see that their breakdown was actually their breakthrough trying to happen. They'll die with the lesson unlearned, the gift unopened, all because they were too scared to sit still. Too scared to listen. Too scared to face themselves. That's why the silence matters. That's why stillness is sacred. Because only in that quiet, when the noise fades and the masks drop, do you finally see what's been hidden all along. You. It's strange, isn't it? How the message always comes when you least expect it. Not when you're ready, not when you're peaceful, but when your life feels like it's falling apart. When you're sitting there, exhausted from pretending everything's fine. That's when it arrives. Quietly, like a whisper in the middle of all the chaos. The message doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It simply waits for you to notice. And when you finally do, something inside you shifts. It's not just words anymore. It's recognition. Like hearing a song you didn't know you remembered. You've been running from silence, from reflection, from yourself. You filled your world with noise, hoping it would drown out the emptiness. But emptiness isn't the enemy. It's the signal. It's life telling you there's more, that you've settled for less. The message doesn't appear to punish you. It appears to awaken you. It comes when you've been too blind to see the signs scattered all around you. The faces, the coincidences, the strange timing of things. It's all been leading to this moment. And now, here it is again, knocking on the same door you kept locked. You ever notice how the world has a way of circling back to the things you avoid? You ignore a lesson, and life will repackage it and hand it to you again. Different wrapping, same core. You ignore the ache in your chest, and one day it turns into a storm. You silence your intuition long enough, and eventually